Welcome to the Harpreet Singh Show. I'm your host, Harpreet Singh from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. In today's program, we'll be talking to Dr. Jagessar Das, who is a Kabir Panthi, and he has written a memoir as to how, from the medical field, he was attracted towards spirituality. So let's welcome Dr. Jagessar Das and talk to him in details as to what life has taught him and what we all need to know. Let's welcome Dr. Jagessar Das. Dr. Das, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you have finally written down a memoir. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You are a medical doctor. For how long did you practice, and now, since when you were attracted towards spirituality and especially towards the teachings of Kabirji?
Yes. I've been practicing medicine for, let's say, 42 years
Mm-hmm.
in Delta and Surrey.
Right.
Uh, I belong to the Kabir Panth, as you know.
Yeah.
I was born into it because my parents were Kabir Panthis, and I grew up studying Kabir Sahib. And over here, I was able to promote him by my talks, lectures, Kabir Association. And now I have written my memoir, which traces my life from my parents being indentured laborers taken from India to Guyana
Mm-hmm.
to work on the sugar plantations.
Right.
And then I was born there. I went to primary school. Then I went to learn the goldsmith trade. And I did that for a few years, become a goldsmith. But then I got a little bit disenchanted that maybe that shouldn't be my future.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into tailoring because I was living with my brother-in-law and sister and her family because my parents died a few years earlier. And then being a master tailor, he said, I can become a tailor. So I went and did tailoring with him. By this time, I was about 5 years or thereabouts out of primary school. And then I used to like to read books and study. So I went to the library, borrowed books, and read. So my brother-in-law observed my keen interest in studying. And so he said, why don't I go back to high school? And so it was through his influence that I went to high school in Georgetown, the capital of Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I came to UBC,
Right.
studied medicine. And so I practiced medicine from 1963 until 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm retired.
Right. So your interest, of course, you were born in a Kabir Panthi family, but your interest towards spirituality, when was this time when it started? And what prompted you to focus on this particular aspect of life?
On Kabir. Yeah. Well, of course, I was born into it. But when I was at UBC, a friend had the 100 poems of Kabir. And I borrowed that book, studied it, and I was happy to have something in English. And then from then on, I kept interest in spiritual matters. So there was a Swami Chidananda of the Divine Life Society who visited Vancouver in about mid 1950s. I was at UBC. So I attended his lectures, and that gave me another impetus to continue to study on spiritual life. So I studied different religions, and I did TV programs. I wrote and spoke and lectured, and I taught meditation. So this is how I
Mm-hmm.
got more and more to spirituality. I did
Okay.
a series of TV programs for Rogers TV, and then my own writing and meditation.
Right.
Maintaining.
So from this memoir which you have now written, what has been your life experience? Because in pursuit of finding God, as you said, you read a lot about different religions. What was it in Kabirji that attracted you, and what is the basic purpose of life?
Yes. The reason I'm so much interested in Kabir Sahib is not because being a sectarian religion. Kabir Sahib openly spoke to everybody. He said, Kabir khara bazaar mein sabko chahe khar, na kahun se dosti, na kahun se bar. He was very impartial in his teaching. And he also taught that you cannot find God if you just look in external places. The way to know God and to find God and to commune with God is to go within yourself in the quietness of your own being, your own heart. And that is where you will find God. And so his teaching was devotion, karma, and mysticism, adhyatmic gyan. And so that is what attracted me to continue studying Kabir Sahib, because of his impartiality, his universality, his brotherhood of everybody, and the love of all beings, all creatures, because everything that God has created wants to maintain its life.
Right.
And so we all do. And so those are some of the points that
Right, which attracted you. Dr. Das, it's time for a short break. We'll go for a break and we'll be back and continue with the discussion. Please keep on watching the Harpreet Singh Show and we'll be shortly back.
Karen thought she won a gift card, but we had a much bigger surprise for her. We rise by lifting others. Sant Motors.
ਦਰਦ ਤੋਂ ਆਰਾਮ ਐਲੋਪੈਥਿਕ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਖਾਣ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਸਾਈਡ ਇਫੈਕਟਸ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਨੈਚੁਰਲ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦਰਦ ਨੂੰ ਜੜੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰਕਸ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਟਾਫ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟਸ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਹਰ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅਪਾਇੰਟਮੈਂਟ ਬੁੱਕ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604 596 1774 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 8035 120 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਡੈਲਟਾ। ਦਰਦ ਨੂੰ ਜੜੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰੋ। ਸ਼ਾਈਨ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਡੈਂਟਲ ਕਲੀਨਿਕ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਤਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਰੇਖ ਹੇਠ ਆਧੁਨਿਕ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੰਦਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਰਨਾ, ਕਰਾਊਨਸ, ਬ੍ਰਿਜਸ, ਡੈਂਟਲ ਇੰਪਲਾਂਟਸ, ਰੂਟ ਕਨਾਲ, ਡੈਂਚਰਸ, ਬੌਂਡਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਵਨੀਰਸ, ਐਕਸਟ੍ਰੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ, ਬੋਨ ਕ੍ਰੈਫਟਿੰਗ ਆਦਿ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹਨ। ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਡੈਂਟਿਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਾਹਰ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਕੰਪਨੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਬਿੱਲ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਘੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਚਾਰਜ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। For special shine and smile 604 503 0320 ਤੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ। ਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਰਜ ਸੁਪਰ ਸਟੋਰ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਯੂਨਿਟ 370 7488 ਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਰਜ ਬੁਲੇਵਾਰਡ, ਸਰੀ। Once again, welcome back to the program. Today's program has been brought to you with the support of a few supporters. Rika Mansingh is one of those. She's a registered dietitian and she's the author of the Empowered Mind Diet Equation, and she has been as a dietitian working for the past 18 years. She says that if you're suffering from diabetes, obesity, heart diseases, food allergies, gastrointestinal disorders, mental health issues, or oral health and wellness issues, then you can contact her. She'll guide you as to what you need to inculcate in your daily diet so that you remain healthy and disease-free. You can call her at 778-240-5951. 778-240-5951, and her website is rikadietforwellness.com. And 4 is 4 numeral. This program has been brought to you by the support of Ahi Transportation Group Limited. They have been in the storage and transportation industry since 1993, and their motto is your cargo is our responsibility. So if you want to send your products anywhere in Canada, you can depend upon them. Their address is 8970 River Road, Delta. Phone number is 604-940-9511. 604-940-9511, and website is aheed.com. And if you want to email, shinda@aheed.com is the email. Today's program has been brought to you with the support of AMC Insurance. If you're looking for home, auto, travel, business, life, or recreational insurance, you can depend upon them. They have 9 offices to serve you in Lower Mainland, and they're open 7 days a week from 8:30 a.m. onwards till 9 p.m. 604-507-6666. For the right advice and product, call this number 604-507-6666. Let's once again get back Dr. Das on the air and talk to him about his book. Dr. Das, before the break, you talked about how you were attracted towards Kabirji. Now, you have written this memoir which contains the entire lifespan of yours as a doctor, as a spiritualist, how you came to Canada and everything. So there are very interesting chapters, a lot of interesting chapters in this. I would like to touch upon a few chapters, and the most important is where you talk about the six doctors and good health. That is the one aspect which you have covered in the earlier part of the book. So, could you tell us what are those six doctors and how we can maintain good health?
Yes. Um, the six doctors really are common sense things, and they cost no money except perhaps the food. So let us take one by one. For health, we need food. It should be nutritious food. And I think we all know enough there's food everywhere being talked about and lectured on. So we need nutritious food. Of course, we need pure water and not polluted water like in some parts of the country or the world. There's not enough pure water. So food, water, then we need air. It should be pure air, not polluted and not smoking and inhaling dust and debris and that sort of thing. So then we need light. And without light, nothing grows. No plant will grow, nothing can live. So of course we need sunlight. And then we need sleep. Without sleep, we can't function. The brain gets foggy, and if you miss several nights of sleep, people can die from lack of sleep because the body and the chemistry all gets upset. And so these are some of the important things that we have to keep in mind. And other than food, you can say water is free, air is free, sunlight is free, exercise is free, sleep is free. So those are the six main doctors. And I learned about this first from Swami Shivananda of the Divine Life Society. He was a medical doctor, but he went into spirituality and yoga and writing books. And so I learned from him about the six doctors. And I said, yes, it does make sense. You don't need all kind of fancy chemicals and expensive things. Nearly everything for good health is free.
Right.
So that's how I came up with it.
Okay, so physical health, for good physical health, these are the requirements. But right now, there's a big crisis, the mental health crisis going on. So, we say the mind, body, soul concept. So we've talked about the body. Let's talk a little bit about the mind. How to be stress free, because that's what is causing a lot of tension in the people. Depression is on the rise, anxiety, depression. These things are becoming major killers for people. So what would be your recommendations for that, what you have mentioned in this book?
Yes. The mind is, let's say, a sixth sense organ. You have the five physical senses, but the mind is acting as a sixth sense. It integrates everything. So it gathers information from the sensory input, integrates them, and makes sense of them, categorizes them, as it were.
Right.
And goes to memory. So when you observe something, you relate it to past experiences that are stored in your mind. So you make sense about everything you're perceiving now. And the mind needs to be controlled, because the mind, as we all know, runs around in all directions. Kabir Sahib sometimes used the figurative expression, man maigal, like an intoxicated elephant, or the mind is like a monkey jumping around. So you have to control it. Be observant of what is in your mind, whether they're noble or not, whether they improve your health and well-being or not, and then you can do something about it.
Right.
But the most important thing, the wellspring of all health, is from the spirit that you are.
Right.
And being a spiritual being, you do not allow the mind to take control.
Right.
You use what is called vivek, discriminative ability, and then decide that this is the activity you need or the way you think, and things that, as you mentioned, depression, anxiety, and so on.
Right.
These are because you're living in the world of duality. You see things, you hear things, people do things, and you react to them. But if you can react to your own inner self
Right.
which is a source of strength, because you are the being and you are soul. The
Right.
body came afterward to give the soul a place to reside in
Mm-hmm.
this world. It's
Okay.
like when you have a house.
So, Dr. Das,
Yes.
this is the most important aspect of your memoir, how to reach your inner self. It's time for a break. We'll go for a break. And once I'm back, I would like to learn from you as to what would you recommend as to how we can reach our inner self. Because faith, belief, and knowledge, this is one chapter what you have attributed in this book to from your wisdom. So, we'll talk about this after this short break.
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ, ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਰਿਚਮੰਡ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ, ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 6048259295 ਉੱਤੇ। ਭਾਰਤ ਪੈਸੇ ਭੇਜਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੰਗਵਾਉਣੇ ਹੋਣ ਤੇ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਫੋਰੈਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਤਸੱਲੀ ਬਖਸ਼ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਰੇਟ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6043491313 ਉੱਤੇ।
ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਵੇਂ ਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਸਟੋਵ, ਓਵਨ, ਫ੍ਰਿਜ, ਵਾਸ਼ਰ ਡਰਾਇਰ, ਮਾਈਕ੍ਰੋਵੇਵ, ਫ੍ਰੀਜ਼ਰਸ ਜਾਂ ਡਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ਼ਰ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਮ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਤੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ 3 ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚਸ ਸਰੀ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਤੇ ਚਿਲਵੈਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਪਲਾਈਐਂਸਸ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ। ਇਹ ਡਿਲੀਵਰੀ ਤੇ ਇੰਸਟਾਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪੈਕੇजेस ਫॉर ਬਿਲਡਰਸ ਐਂਡ ਹੋਮ ਓਨਰਸ। ਕਾਲ 6045904140 604 590 4140। Once again, welcome back to the program. ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਸਰੀ, ਕਲੋਵਰਡੇਲ ਤੇ ਫਰੇਜ਼ਰ ਵੈਲੀ ਦੇ ਟਾਪ ਰੀਅਲਟਰ ਜੈਸਬਰਾਏ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਰੀਮੈਕਸ ਬਲੂਪ੍ਰਿੰਟ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਆਪਣੀ ਇੰਟੈਗ੍ਰਿਟੀ, ਕਮਿਟਮੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਕਾਰਨ, ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਘਰ ਜਾਂ ਕਮਰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਖਰੀਦਣੀ ਜਾਂ ਵੇਚਣੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੌਖਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਕਲਾਇੰਟ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ 24 ਘੰਟਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਾਲ ਵਾਪਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੁਟਾਉਂਦੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ $500 ਨਗਦ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਆਪਣੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਮੁਫਤ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਵੈਲਿਊਏਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਸਲਾਹ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 7789947450 778-994-7450। ਈਮੇਲ ਹੈ joe@jaisobrai.ca ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਹੈ jaisobrai.ca। ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਤੇ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਦਿੱਖ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਐਕਮੀ ਗਲਾਸ ਲਿਮਿਟਡ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਫਰੇਮਲੈਸ ਗਲਾਸ ਰੇਲਿੰਗਸ, ਕਸਟਮ ਵੁੱਡ ਕਲੋਜ਼ਟ, ਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਤੇ ਟਬ ਡੋਰਸ, ਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਸਲਾਈਡਰਸ, ਬੈਵਲਡ ਵੁੱਡ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਟਲ ਟ੍ਰਿਮ ਮਿਰਰਸ ਤੇ ਕਸਟਮ ਗਲਾਸ ਵਰਕ ਦੀ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ। ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ, ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ, ਕਰਾਫਟਸਮੈਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਤੇ ਹਾਈ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਜਾਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਆਪਣੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਜਾਂ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਘਰ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 6045438777 604 543 8777। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਅਮਨ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਲਵਾਈਆਂ ਜਾਣ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਦੌੜ ਖਤਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਮਨ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਕੋਲ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕੇ। ਗ੍ਰੇਨਾਈਟ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਪੋਰਸਲਨ, ਸੈਰਾਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਕਿਚਨ, ਬਾਥ ਸਲੂਟਰ ਦੇ ਕਸਟਮ ਸ਼ਾਵਰ ਬੇਸ, ਫਾਇਰਪਲੇਸ, ਡੈਕਸ ਤੇ ਦੀਵਾਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਲਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ। ਹਰ ਬਜਟ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਅਮਨ ਨੂੰ 7783163510 778-316-3510। Let's once again bring Dr. Das back on air. So, Dr. Das, before the break, you talked about the spiritual aspect. You have talked about one chapter is attributed to finding God. So, basically, what is God? And everybody is praying, everybody is doing worship to reach God. But from your experience of life, how would you define God? And how important is faith and belief in one's life?
Yes. Well, we cannot define God.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to accept that.
Right.
Because we do not have a direct experience of God. But if God is omnipresent, sarvavyapak, then where is God?
Mm-hmm.
Is God on earth, or is God in some heavenly body? God is in heaven. We cannot place God in any one place. And if God was in the beginning, it is that God was the Shabda, God is the Word. And if God is the Word, that's energy. It doesn't have a form. And God is that energy that is consciousness. So God is supreme consciousness. And you cannot place consciousness in any location. Consciousness is universal. And the consciousness we have is just a little bit of God consciousness. It's just like the electricity. Mm-hmm. You have a little bit your one gadget and the next gadget and so on. Just so God is that consciousness going through all of us in
Right.
all beings everywhere. And therefore we cannot confine God to any one place. God is universal, God is in us.
Right.
This is why Sadhguru Kabir Sahib said, Dil mein khojo, dil hi mein khojo, wahi Ram Rahman. So that is how I accept God
Right.
as a spirit, universal. My consciousness is God consciousness.
Right. Dr. Das, how young are you?
How young?
Yeah.
I'm 89.
89?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, in these
This
89 years of consciousness, what have you learned from life? What is the purpose of life? And what should we all understand so that we also can live a happy, prosperous life?
yeah. Of course, having gone through so many years in life, having been in medical practice, and through my own study, meditation, I have come to realize that the only significant thing we need to achieve in this life is to know the spirit that you are. Know the residence of God in your own heart. All the other things we do are external to us. Therefore, maintaining life and family and health, all the other things we do. And we go to churches and temples and gurudwaras just to pray. But when God is in your own heart, it is good to go and pray in temples, but that doesn't put God in your heart unless you sit back quietly and study what you have learned from the scriptures and then see how you can apply that in your life and what do they mean. And when you delve deeply into that, you will find that you are face to face with God who dwells in you. All the external things are steps to prepare yourself to that ultimate realization. The goal of your life is to graduate. You graduate with moksha. And when we achieve that, we can say our life is fulfilled. We have enlightened ourselves.
One another chapter which you have mentioned in your book is approaching God. So, how to approach God?
To approach God? Yes. To approach God, as I mentioned, God is within. So how do you get to God within you? First of all, you still the mind. It's actually it's meditation. You sit quietly, erect posture, close your eyes, shut out everything, and concentrate on your inner self. You can start with concentrating on the breath, and then that will give way to that pure silence. There's nothing in your mind except silence. It's not actually nothingness, but it's stillness.
Right.
And in that stillness, you begin to feel the presence of a supreme being within you. And it is this that in meditation, you reach that state of peace, silence, well-being, and the Spirit of God.
Right.
Now, Spirit of God is not something you will see. You can't talk about it, read about it, anything. But when you're in the silence of yourself, you begin to experience that universality of God, the Spirit of God that's everywhere in everybody's heart.
To see God in all. That is what your message is.
Oh yes, God is in all things. His consciousness is universal. And so if we see God in everything, then we are in the proper path. If we do not see God in everything else, then we are lacking in developing that universal awareness.
Okay. Finally, Dr. Das, anything you would like to say in the end?
Yes, you had mentioned prior to the break about faith and knowledge. I did write on that because a lot of people practice religion on the basis of faith.
Right.
I have faith in God,
Yeah.
or I have faith in the teaching. I have faith in the scripture. But you can simplify it by saying, okay, Brian Mulroney was the Prime Minister of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I have faith Brian Mulroney was Prime Minister. I believe Mulroney was Prime Minister. But I know Mulroney was Prime Minister. So which will you choose? I have faith that he was, I believe he was, or I know he was.
I know.
I have faith, I have money in the bank. I believe I have money in the bank, but I know I have money in the bank. So the same relationship holds between us and God. If you want to know God, you have to know God. Kabir Sahib said, चलो चलो सब कोई कहे मुझे अंदेशा और साहब से परिचय नहीं जाओगे किस ठौर. If you don't know God, who are you praying to? Where will you go to meet God?
Right.
So try to know God within yourself, and then everything else falls in place. You are a spiritual being. You become enlightened.
Wow. Great. So, Dr. Das, Memoir of a Doctor's Journey from Medicine to Spirituality. Where can people get this book?
I'm sorry, what is the...
Where can the people get this book from?
Oh yes. It's not in the stores. I have the book, and I will be distributing it.
Right. So, where can people call you?
Yeah, my phone number, 604-599-6876.
Dr. Das, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for your wisdom and best wishes. Stay safe and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody.
Thank you. So ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਜਗੇਸ਼ਰ ਦਾਸ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ 89 ਇਅਰਸ ਦੇ ਹਨ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਮੋਇਰ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਤਜਰਬੇ ਤੇ ਮੁੱਖ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਇਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਚਾਨਣਾ, ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਾ ਭਾਲੀਏ, ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੀ ਰੱਬ ਵਸਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਈਏ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਥਾਂ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਵੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਬਤੀਤ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ। ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ 604-603-7555 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਈਮੇਲ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ harpreetsingh@gmail.com. And if you're liking these programs, we would seek your support. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/harpreetsingh or on Facebook, The Harpreet Singh Show. COVID-19, since it started, we have been doing live programs every evening, and I am with you Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. onwards, Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to be a part of this program, do contact me. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time and being a part of this program. See you soon. Have a safe evening and enjoy yourself.
ਘਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ, ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
ਵੈਨਕਾਸਾ ਟਾਈਲ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੋਨ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਟਾਈਲਸ, ਸਟੋਨ, ਮਾਰਬਲ, ਬੈਕਸਪਲੈਸ਼, ਮੋਜ਼ੇਕ ਆਦਿ ਵਾਜਬ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ, ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼, ਚਾਈਨੀਜ਼, ਪੋਰਸਲਨ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਰੈਮਿਕ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਬਲ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਆਰਡਰ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਲੀਅਰੈਂਸ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਲਕ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ 1304 84 ਐਵਨਿਊ ਸਰੀ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 604-330-7363 604-330-7363।
ਕੁਦਰਤ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਮਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਆਯੁਰਵੇਦਾ ਰਾਹੀਂ 5000 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਚਲਦੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਬਣਾਏ ਗਏ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅਪਰੂਵਡ 100% ਸ਼ੁੱਧ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਡਾਇਟਰੀ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ ਲਾਭ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ, ਐਂਗਜ਼ਾਇਟੀ, ਇਨਸੋਮਨੀਆ, ਬਲੱਡ ਸ਼ੂਗਰ, ਕਿਡਨੀ, ਬਲੈਡਰ, ਹਾਜ਼ਮਾ, ਆਈਸਾਈਟ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਦਾ ਆਰਗੈਨਿਕ ਇਲਾਜ, ਜੋੜਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਦਰਦਾਂ ਤੇ ਸਰੀਰਕ ਮਸਾਜ ਲਈ ਕਈ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਤੇਲ ਵੀ ਉਪਲਬਧ ਹਨ। ਹੋਲਸੇਲ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ 604 628 2003।